I was on 10 milligrams. I lost, going into maintenance, I lost 10 pounds a month, and I wasn't even trying to. And I was like, oh my gosh. And then the next month I lost another 10 pounds. Like, I had gotten down to 143 and I looked very gaunt. Yeah, 143. I looked really, really thin, you know, even more than what I look right now. Cause I know I can see my chest bones and, all the clavicles and all that kind of stuff. But, I went into the doctor and said, I need to titrate down to 7.5.
Now, did you notice that yourself, or did some family and friends say
It
that
was
to you?
family and friends. Yeah,
Okay.
it was family and friends.
But you didn't notice it at first? You didn't think?
I wish I would have documented sooner, because this was the one time that I had a start, and I don't want to say diet, but another life, because I went into it going, this is going to be a lifestyle change. And I didn't do those before pictures. I didn't do beginning weight measurements, because, and I talked to other people and in groups in our YouTube conversations, it's like you were afraid this was going to be another failure. I went to one of those like back to school days, and we had to show up at a high school. I got there late, and then I tried to go wiggle my way into a desk, and it got stuck, and I stood up and the desk was still stuck to me. And oh my God, that was like the worst thing ever. Like,
You lose that much weight. We want to know about the hanging skin of it all. Let's just talk about it and tell us about the surgery. Tell us, let's just be honest here. What went on with that hanging skin?
well, and let me tell you, I lucked out because I had a hernia. And so then he's like, and then we'll cut you horizontally, and which was hip to hip, and take off the lower apron.
Like the fupa.
Yeah, they're fupa. Yeah. And the lower apron, which they will call the panniculectomy. Insurance calls it panniculectomy. And then, but he's like, yeah, it's like a fleur-de-lis. You're going to have a vertical and a horizontal. And then I was hearing from other people who had surgery, and they said, well, make sure your surgeon, you make sure that they're going to give you a
Hello, and welcome. Well, as you can see, today I have with me the lovely Pammy. And have you ever met someone that dropped half of their body weight? Well, if you have not, then this is the lady you want to listen to, hear from, so she can tell us how she did it. So Pam has lost, or Pammy, as I call her, Pammy Whammy. Pammy has lost 160 plus pounds, which is over 50% of her body weight. And it's just amazing. It's incredible. And I am so proud of you. I'm so excited to hear about your journey. We want to know, how did you do it? How did you do it? Tell us about your background. Tell us what led you up to taking Mounjaro.
Thank you, Didi, for having me. I really appreciate being here among all of our Downsizing Diva crew. So love it. I would say even as a teenager or preteen, I was never like that thin girl. If we went to like whatever store, my parents were both blue collar workers, so we didn't really go to like the fancy stores. And it was more like Kmart shopping all the time, or if we were lucky, we went to like a little bit elevated, maybe like a Miller's Outpost or something like that. It was always hard to buy regular clothes. I would be maybe one size too big. So I'd be like maybe 12, but their 12 was like a junior size 12 or something. And so I would say it was probably from preteens on, probably about, I don't know, 10, 15 to 20 pounds overweight. So I was not the thin girls. Like you always like have these thin girls. And so like in junior high, I was a cheerleader, and which was like a big like, wow, I can't believe I was actually a cheerleader, but I was a band person. And so even doing band, I thought, let me go ahead and try out to be a cheerleader. And that summer before trying out, I said, Mom, can you help me like lose some weight? And we went on a 1,000-calorie diet. Yeah, I think I was like 12 or something. And so that's the first time I learned how to count calories, and how I would count like 10 strawberries. And it was drastic. And did I lose weight? Yeah. But it didn't keep it off. And so over the years, it was always like, wow, I always had like a little bit of thunder thighs and like a little pudgy belly above the waistband, and then always a lower tummy. But my thighs were always like the thicker part, and my behind was like, me and my friend would compare and say, whose hand can sit on the shelf? Like, do you have a shelf shape or what? And she was always like trying to say she won because she said mine was bigger. And so I always struggled with weight, and I went through all the different things like Slim Fast. I remember waking up and doing Denise Austin workouts in freshman year in high school. Um, Weight Watchers. Me and my mom gained 5 pounds going to Weight Watchers together. And never got above 220, but when she was 220, she looked bigger. Like she's 5'1" and I'm 5'4". And so she showed her weight, but she was always cognizant about her weight. And I think it all came with our family. Like all of our family would always make comments when you go visit. Oh, you look good, or oh, you look a little fluffy, or oh, you need to lose weight. And so there was always that pressure. And I don't know if it was just that was the times back in like for her the 60s, and Tang and diet foods coming out, and I was a kid in the 70s, 70s and then 80s. But there was always that diet culture. We took Dexatrim together. We did Slim Fast. We did counter calories. Like I can't even tell you all the different diets. And then when I graduated high school, I even went did the Nutrisystem and was so excited that I lost like 75 pounds. So the weight issue was always there. So that's kind of like always having that, like never being like the average size, but not too big, right? But like, for a teenager, 10 to 20 pounds, probably 20 pounds, was always a big thing. So once I got to my adult years, so let's say in the 30s, I I would stay around that low 200 to 220 range. And then every diet I would gain more. So like I did Richard Simmons workout, and and got down to like 219 one time, and then stopped and gained like 20 pounds. So it just kept incrementally going up and up each time. And then, so I would say by my mid 20s, I was already creeping up to 280, 290. And whenever it was mid August 2000, that I decided that I needed to get the gastric bypass. And so I was close, I was in that 300 range for a few years in order to get me to think about that. And I was finishing up my bachelor's degree and working full time, and I was working more secretarial while I was going to school to get my professional degree. And then and seeing that, wow, I'm 300 and 310 and 313. At that point, I think 310 was my highest. I felt like I've got to do something, or else, like I could feel that the weight was doing stuff to my health. I wasn't able to fit through places. And we know once you get to that amount, I think I was a size 24, sometimes it's size 26 in pants, and a 3X sometimes. So you put all that weight on your joints and your knees for a while, it's going to deteriorate the joints. So I decided to go ahead and get the RNY open divided gastric bypass, and it was in San Diego. They were starting to do the laparoscopic, but I wanted to make sure that I was going to be safe, that as safe as possible. I didn't want to have anything that was too new. So I just said, no, I just want to go ahead and do the open, and had the surgery, did really good, dropped weight real fast. But you're hardly eating because your pouch is, like the shape of an egg. And you're like, and they're like telling you, you're never going to be able to, like, you have to go in there thinking, I'm never going to eat this again. I can't have this or that. So it's very restrictive, and you're only eat this amount and take your vitamins and everything, and don't drink from a straw. Don't have any more soda, nothing with carbonation, because you're going to make your pouch stretch out. We have found out that that's not really the case, but that was what we were drilled and told all the time. So I did good, but then what happens, like you go through that honeymoon stage, you're doing really good, and then you're like, wow, I'm going to have, like, somebody will say, you want to have this cookie? You have a cookie, and you're like, ooh, I could have a cookie and I didn't get sick. Because the whole thing about surgery was, if you don't eat right, you're gonna get sick. You're not gonna feel good. It's gonna give you bubble guts and, like dumping syndrome. And sometimes it happened, but sometimes it didn't. And the bad thing is then you're mentally going, oh, wow, I can eat that. And then you start wanting to eat it. So I would say after, I think it was like 5 years, I was already creeping back up in my weight. I was finishing up my master's degree. And what else was going on? I had my first grandson was born.
Well,
I
so
was,
let me stop you and ask you
yeah.
about this, because I think I've heard this from other people who have had gastric bypass or those type of surgeries.
Mhm.
And you would think like, and I've heard people say like, oh my gosh, you go to those extremes, you have the surgery. What gets you to the point to gain it back? Because don't you, you take the evaluation before you can become a candidate. So your mindset, in at least what they say, is ready to, to get the surgery. So what happens? Like what really happens? Is it just as simple as now I can eat something that I thought it was taboo, and now that I know I can eat it, you just want to have more of it? Is that what it is?
It's partially that, and the other one is I became a grazer. So you can't eat a lot because you still have that restriction from a smaller pouch. And so then you start learning that okay, well I'm going to eat a little bit of this and a little bit of that. But the other thing is you could eat carbs and it didn't fill you up. It just seemed like it just went right through you. Didn't like come in and go out, but you didn't feel full. So if you ate any carbs, you didn't get full. But if you ate protein and the things you should, protein and vegetables first, then you felt full faster. So yeah, I don't know. I went to support groups for probably 2 years. And then in our area, the support groups kind of fickled out and people started dropping off and they stopped coming to our town to have the support group. So I feel like the mindset didn't continue, the support. And the activity. I was so busy in doing college and getting my degree done that you're sitting too much. You're sitting all the time reading, right, and writing notes. And while you're doing your studies, you're snacking. Like I became that snacker, like snacking on chips, Hershey Kisses, cookies, and before you know it, like I started noticing that and this is even after my surgery, I started noticing that I would eat, like, if you got those Girl Scout cookies in Thin Mints, I'd go through a whole tube like nothing. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm not even full. And so then I want to go eat the other one. And now sometimes you feel sick afterwards, and you're like, man, I know I shouldn't be eating this. And you just like, you feel bad about yourself and everything. And then, but does it stop you? No, it didn't stop. Like later on, you forget all about that pain. And you're like, well, it's like I'm craving that taste. And I think it was maybe a part of that sugar addiction. So like once you have your brain starts craving that sugar addiction again. Yeah, so I just became a grazer and just out ate the surgery. And I was born against that, and it's like, and you do like for me, I felt like this huge failure because um I knew it was a serious surgery. You go through, like you said, the psych eval, and I had all the right mindset. Like I know that this is not going to change my life, and this is, I got to focus on other things. But all of a sudden, I think these old habits start coming back, and and it's like, wow, I gave up soda. I did really good with that, and I was working out. But why all of a sudden did I stop working out and I started eating too much junk food? Yeah, I don't know. But I know that the brain started craving it more. And even if I got sick, I just figured a way around it. Yeah, I know. It's probably some type of like, in a sense, almost like a binge eating disorder in a way.
Well, and it's mental, right? Because I feel like that's where the GLP-1 has come in and helped so many of us, because it helps you with the mental stress of it all. And just, it takes away the craving and it takes away the wanting the food, which is half the battle, right? Well, a
Yes.
lot of the battle, kind of the majority of the battle. If you don't want it, you probably won't eat it. So
Mhm.
that's what that bariatric surgery is missing. And a lot of people have expressed that. Like the GLP-1 came along and I didn't even want it, crave it, think about it. And so that's why that's probably been so helpful for even those, patients that have had the surgery. Well, thanks for explaining that. I just really wanted to figure that out, or with you, because I'm sure it's different for everybody. But I
Right.
think we all, because I've never had a surgery, and I think we all wonder, like, well, what happened? How did
Mhm.
and does your stomach stretch back out? Is that true?
Okay, so 10 years later, I did go to a different doctor and in Los Angeles. Another person recommended him, and they did an endoscopy, and they said your pouch is stretched. Let's do a revision and make your pouch smaller again. And so in 2010, late 2010, we did that in October. But you know what? I only lost like 50 pounds. And here I was already back up to 300 and I lost 50 pounds. Yeah. And it's still, like you said, the cravings come back. Yeah, that mindset. And I remember this lady, and I used to get mad. She's like, until you fix this, nothing's going to work. And I was,
Right, right.
okay. But little did we know at that point what could be out there in the future. And when you go in for surgery, or at least back then, they said there's no other. We didn't even have revisions when you first had the surgery. Like there's no revision. If you mess this up, like there's nothing else you can do. So you're thinking this is like last resort, but still, even knowing last resort, like letting those habits come in. So yeah, I think the not continuing with support, not having so many people around us, and then food ideas and um, just all the resources that we have now is really like probably the huge difference. But I do feel like the combination now of having the smaller pouch in addition to having a GLP-1 with the cravings has been great for me because I feel full faster, so I didn't have to eat a lot. And when me and my husband go out to eat, I would end up eating one taco, like a nice grilled carne asada taco, and I'd feel full after one like street taco. And I could eat three tacos before that. And kind of one of the things I would compare is like if I went to Subway, I would not be able to eat definitely not a foot long. And then a 6 inch, I wasn't able to eat a 6 inch for a long time, but there was a time where I gradually was able to go from a 3 inch sandwich to a 6 inch. Now the bread of stuff, all that is a lot of bulk, but yeah, and this is before GLP-1. So kind of like that's how I would kind of measure it. Like, wow, I can eat this much, like that, but even with GLP-1, I noticed with Mounjaro that I started eating less and less. And even my family noticed it. They're like, wow, you eat a lot less. And I'm like, I feel full. Like otherwise you but it's a different full. It's almost like if I eat more, I'm really going to feel like, ooh, and like nauseous, like stomach achy kind of stuff more than just with that surgery. So it's really interesting to see how they both combine and work together. And, I don't know. I wonder if, for some people, maybe having both will be a benefit. If they have a large amount to lose, I don't know. That'd be interesting to see how that goes.
I do think it will, because that piece of the mental is not, you're not gonna have that with the surgery. So
Right.
you might be the one, and and we know, obesity is a disease that needs to be treated. So that is the treatment. The treatment is in your mind and in your brain, and how your brain is processing and thinking about food, and the cravings and what you're gonna eat. So
Mhm.
I think that, for someone like you, it reminds me of myself. You talked about your dedication to, getting that master's degree and everything else you do in your life and everything else you can accomplish. And here you were feeling bad that you couldn't, in your mind, overcome eating. And so there has to be a reason for that that kind of makes sense. And just the fact that you don't have willpower, that does not explain it, because you could do everything else so successfully. So
Mhm.
I'm glad now we're realizing that this is a disease. It needs treatment, and it's not as simple as saying I can't eat, or I don't want to eat, or I can push back from the table.
Yeah.
You need that extra support. And I think, hopefully you're proud of yourself, because you've also done it as well. You've also made the decision to, when you hear that signal, you get that signal that you're full, you actually stopped. Some
Yeah.
people, have overeaten the medication and have not been able to stop. So I think you should give yourself credit for that.
Thank you.
Yes, yes, yes. Okay, so So you had this surgery and you gained weight back after the surgery. So who introduced you to Mounjaro and why did you end up on actually Mounjaro as opposed to Zepbound?
Right. Okay. So good question. Um, okay. So I would say, so in those last couple years before going on this, so 2022 is when I started this health journey. And I would say, gosh, I don't know, 5 years, I was like having arthritis in my knee, facing having a knee replacement. I tried a couple of different treatments like gel injections and steroid shots. And one time I even was using a cane, my knee was hurting so bad. So I had knee pain. I started getting to where I couldn't walk upstairs and walk very far. I'd get out of breath. And my family loves to go to Disneyland. And we would, when after COVID, they got rid of the trams and you'd have to walk all the way in from the parking lot, the parking structure in California and even in Disney World. Now I see it's like kind of similar. Like you have a long walk from the parking lot. And man, I'd have to stop like every 10 minutes. And I'm like, just give me a few minutes. And I'm like trying to catch my breath. I'm breathing heavy. And my legs would swell. And I would just, my legs would hurt so bad. And sometimes I would resort to renting what do you call it? A scooter, the scooters around the park. I'd rent one of those. And so that last year in 2022, I don't even think we had heard about Mounjaro, but I started my second grandson was diagnosed with leukemia in October of 2022, and I was with him during Christmas break in the hospital, at the children's hospital, and one of his oncologists was saying, "Oh, let's get Zena, like we're trying to get him to walk." And I said, and I saw him, and I said, "Hey, like he just went for a walk," and the oncologist said, "Well, you should be going for a walk too." And I went back to the room and I said, "Zayden, you know what your doctor just told me?" And he goes, "Well, Grandma," he's like, "I'm worried about you. You're always complaining that you're hurting, you're in pain, and you're having a hard time getting up and down off of the bed there." And they had like pull-out sofa, and I would get up multiple times during the night to help him pull his IV, pull to the bathroom. And he's like, I really need you to be here to help me through this. And whew, that's what lit my fire. And then, so he would be napping in the morning, and I just decided, you know what? I know that eating low carb works for me, especially with any bariatric surgery. They always like push like low carb. And I knew I could tell that my blood sugars, like I would eat and I would get tired. Like something was going on. I knew something was going on and just didn't really go get it checked. And then, so I started walking, and at the beginning I could only walk for like 10 minutes and then I'd be tired, or then I would go 10, 15 minutes. I would go multiple times, like morning and night. And then I went down to their kitchen and I would get a boiled egg and some bacon, and I like bacon. I know it's bad. I know it's like high fat, but it's still protein. and and then I would reward myself with a coffee. They had a Starbucks in there, and so I would have my breakfast, and then I would have a hot coffee, and then in the evening I'd go walking again. Well, as as the days went on, I was able to walk more and more and more. And for 7 months, I just did low carb and I walked. And I dropped 45 pounds. And that was the most I had lost on my own, even after gastric bypass, even. So, I mean, like after the mellowing out of a gastric bypass. I think, yeah, in 2020 during COVID, I lost 25 pounds because I was able to do smoothies at home. Like I could go in there and I'd do spinach smoothies and put protein powder in there and stuff. And I actually lost weight while I was at home during COVID. But anyway, it was only 25 pounds, and I would stop. And then 45 pounds, 7 months, I kind of felt like, I felt like it was starting to get a little static. Well, my daughter was telling me that her coworkers were like, "Oh, my coworkers are going to like this wellness clinic." And I would see that they're like working out and they're losing weight. And at that time, she didn't really know what medication it was called. And I think they even had different names. It could have been a Tirzepatide or semaglutide, but she mentioned the word Mounjaro to me. Well, in July, I had finished teaching July of 2023. I had finished teaching summer school, and it was time to like, okay, I got to go in there and get my checkups done. So I went to the doctor, did my blood test, then went back to see her, and my A1C was 6.0. And she took it like she was telling me like I had type 2 diabetes right then and there. And I didn't realize that technically it's a little bit higher than that. But no, my dad had type 2, my older sister and my older brother, who are half siblings, but they like we had so many things that are alike. They all had it. My grandma on my mom's side, no, my grandpa on my mom's side. So it was genetically like I knew, gosh, something's gonna, if I don't keep this up. And I was always like, well, I'm 300, but my blood pressure is good.
I used to say that too. And I'm not a diabetic yet. I would always take pride in that.
Diabetes, yeah. And but I had noticed, so I was 6.0, but that even leading up to it and losing 45 pounds, I was noticing like some of those signs that they tell you, not the thirst or the bathroom, but like fruity smell when you go to the bathroom and cloudy eyes and feeling super tired after I ate. And every once in a while I'd go prick my finger because my daughter told me like, well, you could go get, tell them what to get and everything. And we started checking. I think she had some stuff left over from whenever she had her last son and had a little bit of like she had to monitor her blood sugar. But anyway, yeah, so she told me about that and so my doctor was like, oh, like, hold on, wait a minute, like you say.
Hold up, wait a minute.
She said, she's like, okay, you ready to start some medication? And I go, first I was like, oh, I don't know, let me try. And then I said, no, I'll do it. And so she put me on metformin and the metformin pill, and it didn't really do much. I was like, but it was like within the first 2 weeks, I texted her or I called her and talked to her and I said, hey, my daughter says to ask you about Mounjaro. And she's like, okay, you want to try that? And I was like, okay, I don't even know anything about it. I was like, okay, it sounds like everybody's doing good on this stuff. So she put in the prescription, Costco pharmacy. I had it ready, and I started it like August 1st of 2023. And I called my friend who has type 2 and asked, how do I do injections? Nobody told me. So he's like, go all, he was the one that told me like how to inject on either side of my belly button, alternate each week. And I was like, oh, and I think I can't remember if I had him on the phone, but that was like my first time. And I was just like so scared that it was going to hurt, but I was never really scared of needles. So I did it, got it done. And for our longest time would just alternate because that's what I was told from him. No,
So just on the side, you don't go up or down?
Yeah, I didn't even do that. I just went left and right, left and right.
Wow, okay, okay.
Yeah, for a while until I learned more. And funny because I didn't even read the box that shows you all the purple diagrams of where you could inject, right?
Now, what about stretch marks? So, because I think, people don't talk about this with the injections, but I think it needs to be said. So when you have stretch marks on your belly, and that's why I go around and don't just go back and forth, because my stretch marks, I'm trying to avoid them like the plague, right? Because you don't want to inject in the stretch mark. So you didn't have a lot where you had that issue?
I don't know, but I have a lot of stretch marks. I have so many stretch marks. I don't even think I could avoid that.
Well, it still worked for you because you lost 165 pounds. So I guess
I
there
know.
goes that.
I don't know if I really like in the beginning before I heard people talking about the stretch mark because I don't there wasn't too many people talking about it. I may have aimed for around the stretch marks. I don't even know. I just remember like aiming for certain areas in it, and it wasn't until people started talking about stretch marks, and I think it could have been Countess of Shopping that said it. I don't know. Can't remember where I learned it first, but so yeah, and then I think it was her. So nobody else was out there really. I didn't even know Dave on the pin at the time, but my sister was my sister taking it before me. My sister was already taking medication for type 2 diabetes because she had been running. We were both like 5.8, 5.9, and I guess she got up to like 6.3 or 4 or something. And she was able to get Mounjaro in the beginning as well. She kind of had like some medication switches due to insurances and stuff, but I was able to stay on Mounjaro this whole entire time. And because the doctor sent it in for diabetes management. Yeah. And yeah. And so that's why I got Mounjaro versus Zepbound. And thank goodness because my insurance only covers Mounjaro.
Yeah, so you got in on that. Wow. And I love the preventative maintenance of it all, right? Because I think wait until you get it. Why would you do that? If you're on that, if you were officially a pre-diabetic though. So if
Right.
you're in the pre-diabetic, most pre-diabetics that I know, now I'm not talking about everybody, I'm talking about the ones that I know, eventually they slide right into being a diabetic. So
Mhm.
I say prevent it before it happens, which is what you did, which is
Yeah.
great that your doctor was able to do that and not wait until you got over the 6.5.
Yes.
That's a plus. So you told us about that first injection. So you said you just did it. You had a friend. You didn't even look at the pamphlet. And now you're over on your channel being a pro. Now, not now, but I remember when your channel early on, you were always showing you did the arm, you were showing the injection. So
Yeah.
you are a pro. So you've been on Mounjaro for 2.5 years. Is that correct?
Yeah, 2.5 years, right? 23. Yep. Yeah, 2.5 years. And you know what? When I heard Elizabeth on Countess of Shopping talking about injecting the arm and having like more satiety, I decided that's whenever I decided to try the arm. And
Yes.
and I was and I don't know why it made it so complicated. I was like, okay, you gotta put your arm around this way and put your pin over here. But why when we could just go like this?
Well,
You know,
I thought that too. I felt like it. I don't know. I just something in my mind made me think it was complicated. When I actually did it, I was like, "This is easy
yeah,
breezy."
for me, once I started injecting in the back of the arm, I would lose more weight that week. And so
Me
for me,
too.
really? Yeah, that was
I
better
did
for me.
that until it stopped though, because then I had a week when it didn't, and I thought, okay, this fairy tale is over. But if ever I get into, get really frustrated and feel like I need a boost, then I'll, inject in my arm.
And
And it
my
worked.
left arm was better than the right arm. So then I started thinking maybe it's the left side of the body. So then the left side of the stomach would be good too. And I tried early on the thighs, but I think I injected into my muscles and it wasn't good. I didn't like that.
Uh,
Now I can do it. Like now I avoid the stomach since I've had surgery, which I know you're going to ask me about, but but now I avoid my stomach and I'm doing arms and thighs. But my arms, I still just have a lot of hangy skin. It's not really fat, but I try to like squish it all and make it seem like it's fat in case it is. I know it needs to be fat because that's fat soluble, um but the thighs, I instead of going on top like the picture, I feel like it's better on the inside thigh.
so
Like,
you're not. So they say no inside though.
why? I know, I'm like that's where the fat is.
Well, I don't have to worry about that for a while because these thighs have enough fat for both of us for right now. But I can see how if I sit down and do it, I can't grab as much fat, so I have to stand up, and then it's all ready. It's all there, ready to go. So yeah, you have to watch that though. Watch that inner thigh because there has to be a reason why they say not to do it in the inner thigh. So I
Yeah,
would just kind of be careful with that. But you're a vet, you're 2.5 years. And, I'm one of those people that believes if something works, you kind of stick with it. And I usually go wrong when I stray from that. So who am I to tell you? But I do believe in following the manufacturer directions as
yeah,
best you can. You know what
yeah,
I mean?
yeah.
What are you going to say? So let me ask you, so did you have any side effects? Like what were your side effects?
My only side effects were constipation after the first month. And we had gone on a vacation and I noticed, and when you travel, you don't always, it's hard to go to the bathroom sometimes.
Yeah.
Well, that was 30 days, I think, after I started the injection. That was like a 3 day and I couldn't go to the bathroom. And I remember going in, like we were in Joshua Tree, it was all nice and relaxing. And being at the Airbnb and I couldn't go to the bathroom, like number two. And got home and I could feel it, like I need to go. And it was the worst ever. It was like emergency, almost need to go to an ER. And I took all this knowledge that while I was going to college and I was working as a secretary, it was at a hospital. And all the nurses that I worked with, who were my supervisors, they would talk about what they did with patients who were constipated. So I was like, okay, glove up and do these things and whatever I tried suppository, it didn't work, but I ended up getting a fleet and the fleet worked. So anyway, constipation was that was because I had rocks. I had rocks. Yeah, clay and rocks. And so that's whenever I found out that I needed to take magnesium. And so the doctor's like, yeah, even if you take calm, like just take some magnesium. Well, Countess of Shopping was always talking about the bio optimizers. So I bought the bio optimizers magnesium, and it not only did it keep me regular, but I stopped having muscle cramps whenever if I was good about taking it. Because I was having, oh my gosh, I wish I had known about magnesium sooner. For like especially the first 6 months, I would wake up all the time with bad leg cramps, muscle spasms, and they would shoot from the calves all the way up into my inner thigh, like the whole leg and both legs at the same time, and like feet curled up to where I couldn't even walk or curled down. And I would be trying to get to the refrigerator and look for some pickle juice or mustard, because pickle juice and mustard will take that spasm away within a minute or less.
Well, were you drinking a lot of water though? Because I know it's connected to being dehydrated as well.
You know what? No, I probably in the beginning probably wasn't drinking as much because I don't think I even had like the Stanley. I was like anti Stanley at the time, and I was I don't know what it was. Everybody's like, "Don't get a Stanley." No, but once I got the 40-ounce water and I could measure it, I was better. So you're probably right. I'm pretty sure I was dehydrated too. Yeah,
Yeah. 'Cause that'll do it. Even, on top of that, the magnesium also,
yeah,
that's a deficiency in a lot of people. But
yeah,
that water is everything, and I think back to when I first started taking the medicine. Don't you remember going to the restroom a lot? Not number 2, but, it just
yeah,
was flushing all that, water and inflammation that was going, and so if
yeah.
you don't replenish that, and I think when you're in the restroom, you're not thinking like, "Oh," you're thinking it's a little bit, but really it's a lot. And so you have
Mhm.
to replenish that, and a lot of times we think we're replenishing it, but we're not.
Well,
So
and
yeah,
that's when I had the muscle cramps is the day there was
yeah,
like it was like a floodgate, like 1 or 2 days where I'd be like, "Oh my gosh, can I get somebody to cover my class? Because I gotta go. I gotta go." And it was like every hour and I'm going, going, going. And then that night, that's when I'd have muscle cramps. Yeah,
yeah,
because I get it replenished enough. Yeah. Yeah. And
yes,
it was
absolutely.
kind of like maybe once a week, where 2 days it would be like flushing out. Yeah.
Yeah,
But and then it kind of became more consistent, like more often. But that and I would drop a lot of weight too.
yeah. That
Yeah.
that probably some of that was water weight too.
Mhm.
So just the constipation. So you didn't have any nausea and all of those pesky
No.
side effects? No.
Yeah,
Okay.
my doctor gave me Zofran. She prepared me ahead of time, but no, never got
You never need
nauseated.
to take it. Very good.
Yeah.
Okay. I can agree with that. So tell us about your diet. Do you have a protein? Did somebody put you on? Because you're used to, when I say diet, I mean meal plan. I don't mean like diet, I'm on a diet. I mean, what is your meal plan consist of? Did you have a counting calorie strategy? Tell us about that. Did you have a protein goal?
Yeah. So in the beginning, I didn't know about the protein goal, but I knew that I needed to focus on protein. How I know, I don't remember. Probably, the little people who were out there who were talking about it. But even when I had gastric bypass, we had a protein goal. Like we had the yuckiest protein back in 2000, and it was like a 40-gram protein powder, and it tasted terrible. And then finally Trader Joe's started carrying, I think it was, I can't even remember. It was almost like, it wasn't Premier Protein, but it was like something before that. But I knew I needed protein, and I had I'm trying to remember when I switched my coffee too. Because I felt like I started putting protein in my coffee instead of creamer like early on.
Hmm.
Um, but my doctor, she was really good. So she worked with bariatric patients at office before that. And actually, I say my doctor, but she's really a PA. But I see her; she's amazing. She's like the best ever. Yeah, she's a PA, and but she's the one that we pretty much
Now
just like,
tell us what a PA is.
oh yeah, so a physician's assistant.
Okay.
Yeah. So she pretty much told me follow a diabetic diet. Yeah, low carb, get your veggies in and your protein and get your water in. And she did tell me those things. And so I ended up focusing on, let's just look at, I hated counting calories because I'd been doing it since I was 12. But I kind of knew, like, just look at the label and I could kind of figure it out real quick. But if I could focus on 30 grams of protein with every meal, then at least I would get 90 grams. And I would like, hey, and I'd tell her, like, Dr. And I got my 90 calories in. And so she was happy about 90. She was like, that's good. I never saw a dietitian like officially. I would go to some groups where they would have dietitian in there, but and in the very beginning, the protein that I was using was Fairlife or Premier Protein. Premier Protein, and it was Costco's pack, and it was the latte flavor. And so I put that latte flavor in my coffee, and then I would make smoothies. Oh yeah, I would come to work with coffee in one hand or water in one hand and a smoothie. I think I had like 3 cups, a smoothie, coffee, and a water. And then later, I got tired of smoothies every morning, but that was my thing that I did for like probably a whole year. No, I'll take it back. 7 months. I did like a smoothie every morning. Then it switched over to Premier Protein, right? Fairlife. Yeah. Premier Protein. Then I switched over to Fairlife, and I really liked that, the Fairlife. And so I think at this point, after I transitioned into like, okay, I've been hearing, everybody's talking about getting your grams in and protein. I kept a tracker for a while just to kind of make sure that I was doing good. And I'm teaching health to freshmen. I had already been learning about all the healthy fats. So I was transitioning into making sure I was only doing healthy fats, high protein, low carb. And I just kind of got into a routine of air frying chicken, but I did chicken thighs. And I had heard from other people, like, don't feel so bad about having chicken thighs. It's still, I know it's a fattier meat, but it tastes better. It's moist, but we shouldn't be so scared of having the skin or the stuff like that. So I was like, okay, I'm gonna do that. So I had my chicken thighs, I would marinate it, put it in the air fryer. And then I would grill veggies. And I was never a veggie person, but if I grilled them or put them in the air fryer, they tasted better. So I'd have bell peppers, I'd have Brussels sprouts, I would have green beans and mushrooms, and those different kind of combinations. And so every day, and I'd show my students, like, this is how we're eating. And it was embarrassing. Like, here I'm teaching health and I'm 300 pounds, and then, and so the second year, whenever I was working out, they would see that at lunchtime, they used to come to my classroom for lunch. And then I was like, sorry, girls, like, or whoever's coming, I'm closing up shop and I'm going to go for a walk. And a couple years after, the students would tell me, yeah, miss, we saw you walking out there in the track. And I told my friend who was struggling with his weight, like, look at my teacher, look at my old health teacher. She's out there. I think he meant, like, when you say old teacher, like not old.
Yeah.
She's out there walking and look how she looks now. And then like, it took a long time for people to tell me stuff, but I had previous students who said, I told my uncle that you're walking and what you're eating, what you showed us. And, like, I'm trying to help him now because he's like diabetic. But I would always show them, like, look, it doesn't cost a lot. I got ground beef, ground beef at Costco that was grass fed. So I try to change the quality of the food that we were eating, and the grass fed butter, but olive oil, the avocado oil, and coconut oil. So I try to stay within the healthier oils and get the protein and the veggies. But I have to say, I wasn't real big about the fiber. So I was scared of bread because I knew that bread was like my kryptonite, and like I always see, Oprah's like I'm a fangirl over Oprah, and she's like, I love my bread. And I'm like, I know, me too. Like, as a kid, I would take bread and I would fold it into like little pockets and make it like dough, and I would eat it. I just had this fascination over bread, and especially homemade bread. And so I was kind of scared of bread, but then I started buying low carb tortillas, low carb protein, like they'd get the protein chips, and I would make a taco salad, and I'd take my ground beef and add garbanzo beans or kidney beans, black beans, and any kind of beans to add even more protein to it. And then I would buy protein chips. And at first I'd get Quest because that was like kind of the only thing out there. And then later I found out about Siete, the brand, and that one tastes really good. And it was a better option. But and I would do a bed of lettuce or a mixed salad, and then have the taco meat, the beans, and a couple of chips. And then I'd watch another person who's on TikTok and Instagram and all these, where they blended cottage cheese and made like a fake, like a dupe on sour cream. And so then I started buying sour cottage cheese, and then I heard Good Culture was a good brand of cottage cheese, so I'd buy Good Culture, the brand of that name, and it was really good. And I'd put it in my old Cuisinart food processor, blend it up, and then sometimes I would add a taco seasoning to it or a little ranch seasoning to it.
Oh, that's a nice tip.
Yeah, and then and sometimes I'd add half an avocado and some cilantro. Man, it tastes amazing. Like
So I
I
think I'm gonna try that because I've never been able to eat cottage cheese at all. I just don't like anything about it. I'm not a big dairy person.
mm-hmm,
So, yeah, cottage
me
cheese,
too.
no, but I never thought about putting, like, a seasoning in it or a taco seasoning because I love a good taco. Taco
Yes.
salad, go regular
Yeah.
taco, you know?
Oh my gosh. My first Super Bowl in this journey, I made bacon wrapped stuffed jalapenos, and I put the cottage cheese as the stuffing, not the cheddar anymore. So the cottage cheese, and I think that one had the taco seasoning. And then you can even buy a jar with the ranch dressing instead of the actual ranch packets. I think it's a little bit better for you. But comparing the ingredients, and then I wrapped it in bacon, and then I also made the dip. So I did the avocado dip, and can't remember what. Oh, veggies. I sliced up some bell peppers and different veggies to like dip in that. It turned out really good. I was impressed with happy with
Oh,
my.
that sounds good. Well, so other than tortillas and, the chips you talked about, the protein chips, any other carbs you were eating? Sweet
Okay.
potatoes, rice?
Oh yeah, I love. Okay, so rice has never been good for me since gastric bypass. It gets stuck. It has this like weird stuck feeling. Yeah, and um And so I avoided, and the funny thing, so I just avoided potatoes. I didn't have any rice, no potatoes, no pasta. Although we did try some protein pasta. So here and there, I tried a little bit of protein pasta. But I had love yams. And so I would also put yams with my bell peppers. And so, yeah, would have that. And then occasionally, and so anytime I would notice that my weight wasn't going down as fast, because in the beginning it really didn't go down a lot real fast. Like it was kind of slow in the beginning. And maybe it's because I had already lost 45 pounds and it wasn't like, that big drop anymore.
Mhm.
But I'd go to In and Out and get a burger, and I would eat it without the top bun. And so I would have the bottom bun, and then every once in a while I'd do like the lettuce wrap burger. And and then I even stopped whenever we go out, I'll get it In and Out and not have cheese. Like now I won't even, if I have a burger, I don't have cheese on it anymore. So I started eating less cheese. And I would love cheese. But anyway, I had less cheese, and I didn't even eat. Occasionally I would have, I think, the Dave's killer bread, but
Mhm.
I was like kind of scared of bread. Yeah, it was weird. Like it took me a while to get back into like wanting to have bread again. Um, so I did go really strict on that part for 2 years. Yeah. And then, but yeah, that was like every once in a while to have a burger. And then sometimes I would go ahead and eat the whole burger, the bun, the top and the bottom. But yeah, a lot of times I ended up taking off the top bun and at least just had half.
I love that. So, and it sounds like the more you trusted yourself that you could cut it off, you didn't wanna mess with it and,
Yeah.
disrupt what you had going on until you felt comfortable, which is great. I think that's a great way to handle it. Now, let me go back to something you said because, being an educator, I always say, the kids are watching, right? I say
Yes.
this on my YouTube channel in general, the kids are watching. And so when you said the kids were watching you exercise and they saw what you were eating, you were sharing what you were eating. Did you tell the kids you were on Mounjaro?
Never. Yeah, I
You
never told
never told them.
no, I never told them that.
Why?
I don't know if it was like if they would like think differently, like because there was still like I don't even know if they knew anything about Ozempic or anything like that. But I didn't want and one in one feeling I thought, I don't want them to feel like I'm trying to like push something, like somebody's gonna say, your teacher is telling my kids about Ozempic or something like that. Yeah. And then I was I think I told them that I was taking some medication for diabetes, for pre-diabetes. That's all I said. But yeah, I don't know. I didn't know if I felt like if I tell them this, does it seem like I'm cheating? And it's gonna like just they're gonna not even care about all the other stuff that I'm doing. So yeah, especially in the beginning, and I don't even tell them now. That's like the one thing I haven't really said to them, to the kids, to the students. Yeah,
Well, I think that's kinda smart because, again, like you just said, you don't want someone to say, "Yo, you told my son or daughter about this, and now they wanna try it, and it's because of you." But I
yeah,
also think too, when you were first talking about it, I thought this is a perfect example of somebody who's using the medication as a tool because you're not just taking it, you're coming with the healthy food showing them. They're seeing you exercise. And I think the stereotype that's out there, the misinformation is people are just taking the injection and that's it. So you are proof that you are doing more than just taking the injection and that's it. So if and I don't think you should have broadcasted at all because it's just like my students know I'm on a weight loss journey, but I didn't say, yeah, I'm taking Mounjaro. Now
yeah,
they're 8, so they're a little bit, they're much younger, but
right,
I just think it's a medical treatment, right? Most people aren't just revealing their medical treatment. Now, if it would be different if someone would bring you to the side, say, I really want some help and support. What are you doing? And then I think that's a different kind of a conversation. So, but I just love that they saw you doing that. So if those students, because you'll probably run into one of them years down the road, and if they were to see your YouTube channel or know that you had lost this weight, they're going to be like, this is a lady who just didn't, take the injection. She actually did all the things, right? So I think that's an excellent example. So you should be proud of that. And I don't think you should have broadcast it, but it'll come out and then you could be proud that it wasn't just cheating, it was you also doing the things that you need to do to, to lose the
yeah.
weight. So good for you. Okay, I just had to clarify that because I was like, do the kids know?
I know. And thank you for it's funny because I just got like goosebumps whenever you're saying that. And some of the kiddos that from my first year at this school, I will sub sometimes at the continuation school, and we have a continuation program at our high school. And so a lot of the kiddos who I had my first year, they saw me when I was bigger. And I always felt like here I am teaching health, and I'm like this big person, and I go back to my pictures, I'm like, oh my God, that's so embarrassing. And I even one of my instructional assistants told me one time during an open house, so and so's dad was saying, "Look at this teacher's teaching health, and they're like, look how they look and stuff." And so, yeah, I'm like, where is he now?
I
But
know. Where is he now?
and
Oh
it's
my.
so neat because those students come back and they're like, Miss, is that you? Like for the last year was like when I heard a lot of this last year, maybe the year before. Like, Miss, is that you? Is that Mrs. Gomez? And so, and then they'll even tell me like, we saw you. And I just like, that just touches my heart to see that they noticed it and they see it. And then I'm still here. Like I haven't like all of a sudden bounced back or anything.
Yeah.
And yeah, and they even tell me like, "I know, miss, you're gonna be out there walking. You're not here at lunchtime." And I go, "I know, that's good." And during the colder months, I kind of slacked off, and I'm like, you know what? I got to get back out there. You
Because
know,
you knew the kids were watching. And
yeah,
that's why I always say, and I don't, not every live stream, but a lot of my live streams, I say, people are inspiring people, and you don't even know that you are. You don't know that you are. You don't know that people are really watching. So that's why I think we really have to be careful and put our best foot forward, when we're on YouTube or anywhere else we are, because you never know who's watching. Now, are we human? Absolutely. So, but I think to be conscious and aware of it is just a good thing, right? A good thing. So I'm excited. I'm excited for you because I just picture in my mind, I could just see that parent now making that comment. And good thing I don't know him because I'd be showing him your picture. How you like me now?
And now that with the new students, I do a welcome slide in the beginning, and a couple of my older pictures will show like chunkier face. It won't really show too much of the body, but whenever we start talking about heart disease and diabetes, and I'm teaching them about that, I will tell them, hey, even I became pre-diabetic. And so that's why, because of this, and if you see, you guys see me, I look a little fluffier, or I look a little fuller in the face, you can tell. And I said, so I'm not just talking from book, but I've experienced it. And so, yes, and so because so many kiddos, when I ask, do you know anybody in your family with diabetes? And a lot of them raise their hands all the time. Yeah.
Wow. Wow. Wow, so they're probably going home and telling their parents about, you and your journey and probably, they're inspired too. So I think that's great. Well, let me ask you, geez Louise, I could talk about the school part of it forever. Let me ask you, so what exercises are you doing?
So I did fall into that whole thing during that first, the first 2 years of losing weight where I did mostly walking. And I
Okay.
think, especially because being close to 300, like I didn't feel like I could do a whole lot of other stuff, but I would walk. And then I had a recumbent bike that I would try to do, although it kind of I didn't like it so much. And then I would try lifting some weights. So I did a few like our hand weights, but I didn't try until a year ago. It was October, starting in October, November. Okay, let's say a year ago, I actually joined a program where we would go into support groups and they had live exercise. And it was another group where it's kind of like they work with people with surgery or GLP-1, and it's mental and physical. And that was the first time being in those classes that I got down on my knees on the pad and I was able to do a push up. So I did a push up and I was like, oh my gosh, I could do a push up and a plank and a mountain climbers and dog something where you put one arm out and a leg out and wall sits. And like we started challenging each other and like, okay, let's do 20 minute or whatever, not 20 minutes of a wall sit, but have 2 minutes of a wall sit or something like that. And that's when I was probably like I was close to maintenance. So I would say once I had dropped 130 pounds, um, once I got below 160, the face really like started showing more, like, because I always lose from the face first. And I really needed more of the lower body to go down, but the face just kept going down. And my daughter and her psychologist friend, she's really good into working out, and she's like, your mom needs to start strength training. And so they pushed me to get into strength training. And so I was like, yeah, I feel weak. Like I didn't feel very strong at all. Like even opening up a can was hard. So that's whenever I realized, oh, you're right, I gotta do strength training. So that's whenever I brought in the weights. And if I would have known, I could have done it a lot sooner. But making up for time, for that lost time. And I've been strength training for a good year now. So the whole time in maintenance, I've been strength training.
Oh,
Yeah.
wow, very good. So
Yeah.
I know you feel good about that. So have you ever taken a DEXA scan? Do you know like how much muscle you managed to gain or lose during this journey?
The only one that I've been going by, so once I dropped to 200, I changed my scale. I had an old Jenny Craig scale, and it was like called a Tanita scale, but it didn't give you all those stats. So once I got to 200, I bought a new scale, a Rinfo, and just the stats that the Rinfo one shows. And I could see like when I wasn't drinking my water, my weight actually went up and not down. When I drink a lot of water, my weight went down. And I looked at the muscle, I did my measurements. And so, especially like if I was going to the bathroom a lot and I didn't see anything on the scale, I would look at the measurements and I would see, wow, my measurements are going down. Like I remember Easter 2023 or four, three, four. I dropped down like 4 sizes in pants because I remember buying some pants, no, maybe couple sizes. I bought these pants and I was like, "Oh my gosh, they're like hanging off of me." Like the inches would go down real quick and then it would like not, like it was kind of like these chunks of time. And so in my weight loss, it always wiggled. It was kind of like do all the way down, you know.
Now, did it tell you your scale tell you anything about the muscle mass
Yeah,
at all?
that's the muscle on there. So I would look at the muscle and it did show me for a while that I was having muscle loss. And then when I started doing the strength training, I got a little bit of I got a little bit more muscle. But
Yeah.
the only DEXA scan I got was the one for the bones before GLP-1, my doctor said, my PA, she said, you have I ended up with osteopenia. Well, and here's the thing, when you have gastric bypass, your absorption is so bad. And for years, I was even bad taking my vitamins. And I didn't know, I wasn't consistent with my vitamins over the years. I wasn't taking the calcium. And I remember my dad even would tell me, Pam, you have Pamela. This is what he said, Pamela, you need to take the calcium because so and so who had surgery, his teeth are breaking.
Wow.
His teeth were breaking, and you know what? My teeth started getting weak too, and I had a couple of broken teeth.
Wow.
Yeah, so the
It just
calcium, and
goes to show you how important it is to eat because food is, providing nutrients.
yeah, so I got put on. I started taking liquid calcium, and found a good one that tasted good too. And I'm due to go back in to check that DEXA scan, but no, I didn't get the big ones that you guys have. I've gotten, just been going by the Rinfo to see the muscle gain and loss on that one, which I know is not super efficient, but it was at least something.
Yeah. Well, one day, when you get to the point where you want to know, it's never too late to start tracking. So it's nice to have at the beginning, but it's nice to start where you are too. So, just that's something to put on your, maybe one day list.
Right.
So what did you do with those old clothes? Because obviously you dropped 160 pounds, half your body weight. I should correct myself, 165 pounds, half your body weight. I mean, 53% of your body weight you lost. I mean, what did you do with those clothes?
So I finally purged. I probably have like 3 or 4 of my biggest size pants. There was I wore out these, like, Lane Bryant was like the main place I went shopping.
Oh, I love how you say I wore out because I felt like I wore some pants out too, wearing them over and over.
Yeah, and it's crazy. I really need to do a picture and a video wearing these pants because I look at them like, oh my gosh, I can't believe it. Like, I just can't believe it. And they're
That's
in
a
my,
great non-scale victory too.
yeah, I could probably just fit in one side now for sure. But it's like, it reminds me of that Subway commercial. It's like that. And when you look at those pants and you hold them up. So I kept those, but I ran out of room in my closet, and I spent so much money just buying all these new clothes. When at a certain point you have to buy new
Sure.
undergarments because those don't fit either. Like,
Mhm.
I remember seeing a video, and I was like walking, I was taking a video of myself, and yeah, I was like, you need some support. I
Well,
was
you
like,
had to buy everything. I mean, I'm still in my closet as I'm going down because I think I have clothes all the way to a 14, and then I have a couple of 12s. So you had to go out of your closet because I don't think you had half, one hot clothes for
yeah.
160, did you?
No, I didn't because I had gotten to a point. I had some size 10s from after the surgery that I was hoping to get back into 10s and 12s. And at some point I said, forget it. I'm never gonna wear these. And I donated them. And then so this last, yeah, I probably took like 10 bags. I kept going on trips and taking them to Goodwill.
Oh,
And
good.
yeah. And even when I replaced my clothing, like, all of a sudden you start buying stuff, and I was buying stuff online instead of going in person. I probably still had that, like, I didn't feel comfortable, trying on clothes. I never liked trying on clothes at the store, and I would just buy them and try them on at home. Even at Lane Bryant, I didn't really always like trying on at the store either. It was weird whenever I got to the point where I couldn't buy anything at Lane Bryant either.
Oh, I'm sure that was like different, but a good feeling.
Yeah, yeah.
And you have more options. I mean, Lane Bryant is cool, but you have more options. You could just go anywhere and shop. That's a good feeling too.
Yes, yeah. Well, and then all of a sudden I would buy clothes, and then you don't really know what size you are. And I would waste a lot of money, and it was hard to return some of the stuff because it wasn't Amazon to, like, return it. And the clothes, I was like, what happened? All of a sudden, now that I had lost some weight, you get oversized clothes because, like, a large was like a 2X, and a medium was like an extra large. I'm like, what the heck? So I
I
don't, the body changes and the style too, I guess. But even those, like, the stuff that I bought, I have a friend who had the sleeve recently, and so she's asking me for some clothes. So I'm like, okay, I have stuff that's still too big for me now. So
Now, at your highest, what size were you?
my pants were mostly 24, and occasionally I would get a 26. and the tops were 2X and sometimes a 3X.
And
Like a
what
twin.
about now?
So now, it's funny. I So I like to buy jeans that have that stretch in them. So I have Judy Blue jeans and Vervet and Risen. And I'm like right now I have a size 9, and there's one brand called Cut from the Cloth. I bought an 8 and they're already kind of baggy, and I'm wearing a belt. So I feel like I'm probably a size 8. I don't know that I'm a size 6, but I feel like I should probably just go in there and try on some pants, because I don't know if they fit loose because they have that stretch in them, you know?
Yeah.
But yeah, and I did measure recently, and I think my waist was 31 inches.
Wow. Awesome. Awesome.
Yeah.
Well, let's just, before we get into, you had a surgery and it's a panniculectomy, right? And so
Yes.
before we get into that, I just want you to give some advice to a newbie, because you have so much experience. You've been through a lot. I mean, your journey is just extensive, with a lot you did to get to the point you are. And I think GLP-1 or no GLP-1, you have just been steadfast, determined, right? You've been determined because you've done things along the way that show you were determined that you were going to reach your goal. So I love that. So what advice start with, taking the GLP-1, and anybody that's new that's watching this, what advice would you give them? What do you wish you would have known when you first started, day one?
So, well, one, hydration. I would definitely put an alarm on my phone every 20 minutes to take a drink of water. And for me, I couldn't just drink regular water, but I like to add in flavors. My PA did talk. My physician's assistant talked me into. She saw that I bought all these like sugar-free things, which I still like, but she's like, Pamela, you need to put some sliced lemons, oranges, cucumbers, use some real fruit and put it in your water. So I did. I do try to do that a little bit more, but I still like my skinny girl mixes and put, flavor in packets. So anyway, every 20 minutes, put an alarm, drink that. I do now only buy 40-ounce tumblers, so that I know, okay, once this 40 ounce is done, I got to fill it up and try to get it filled up before I leave work, so that I'm not drinking too late in the evening. So at least 80 ounces. I know it's best to, like, we can get to a third one, that'd be even better. But I do notice that if I get at least 2 of them, that I'm golden. Um, and we know sleep is important, because if we're not sleeping, it's really hard to drop, because that cortisol, the stress levels and all that, um, can, prevent that sleep, and cause your body to kind of, not work how we want it to be. So I would also, I feel like cardio was the game changer for me, and strength training. So I aimed for at least 5 days a week of movement, and at least 30 minutes a day. And I would give myself, like, I had this, a good friend at work the librarian, who said, okay, give yourself a minimum goal, a medium goal, and a maximum goal. So I was like, at first I only had a goal of 3,000 steps. Then I went to 3, 5, and 6. And then I did, okay, let's do 5,000, 6,000, 7,000. So I just kept going up until I did want to try to shoot for 10,000, but 10,000 steps was still, like, you have to put a lot of effort into getting that time in to get the 10,000 steps. So I would give myself a step goal. Make sure I stay on track here. So movement. So we have water, sleep, movement, and I definitely feel like, and I know that we have to be careful to advise magnesium, but something for if you're on a Tirzepatide, it seems like that. I feel like most people who are on a Zepbound, Mounjaro, or Tirzepatide compound will have more of the constipation, and people on the semaglutide, I've noticed, have more of the nausea or the diarrhea and stuff. So depending on where it hits you, I feel like I'd be armed with something that helps prevent constipation. Whether that is, whatever the case may be, whether it's magnesium, calm with magnesium, or what, but or fiber, making sure you got that fiber in there. Gosh, what else? Trying to think.
I think that's good, because I don't think you want to overwhelm people
Yeah,
with all these things to do.
yeah.
Those are some great ones. If you just start with that, you're off to a good start. I mean, those are
And
some
when you're
great.
walking, you feel good. Like you get the energy, you get those endorphins going. The dopamine receptors are firing. You're, that feel good makes you'll lower your stress and your cortisol levels by walking and doing the exercise, the movement. So the
Well, that
epinephrine,
also helps with constipation too, like
yeah,
moving.
yeah.
So you get things moving. Yeah.
Mhm.
Water, exercise. So I love that. All right. So you lost 165 pounds. Again, half your body weight. Out there, I will say to you, how many people can you say you know that lost half their body weight? You know what? You need to be on People magazine. You know how they do that? They lost half their size. That is you.
Is that the magazine I just bought? I got the Oprah one. Oh my goodness, because it has like some people that I see. Look, yeah, look at that. Oh my
Oh, how I lost 100 pounds. Yeah, so honey, you have them beat. You lost 165. So
God.
tell us, okay, so you lose that much weight. We want to know about the hanging skin of it all. Let's just talk about it and tell us about the surgery. Tell us, let's just be honest here. What went on with that hanging skin?
Well, and let me tell you, I lucked out because I had a hernia, and so I started seeing different plastic surgeons, and they all said, you got to get that hernia fixed first. So because I had that surgery where they cut you open from breastbone down to belly button, the gastric bypass, and it was open, that was a weak point. And so over time of putting pressure and gaining weight, it uh, ripped open that incision, that weak point, where then the intestines was poking out. So if you go back and look at and so then I had it fixed in 2014. And then eventually I retore that area. It started coming out again. Yeah. It's like an inner, you kind of feel weird things. You're like, ooh, something just happened. But it's an inner lining of your stomach, and it tears, and it just keeps getting bigger and bigger, and your intestines start pushing through. And the first time I had emergency surgery because the intestine got strangulated. But the intestine, yeah, and then the fat from underneath your skin all gets pushed out.
Now,
So
wait, how did you even get that from the surgery?
yeah, so that was from the original gastric bypass,
Bypass
and
surgery.
yeah,
Okay, okay.
so it was a weak point. Lifting, dogs, kids, and gaining weight. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, so the surgeon that I saw, who in the same office that fixed it the first time, said, unless you lose weight, there's no point in us doing the surgery because it's just going to come back. Like you have to lose weight. And that's when I was like, I try and try. So when I finally did, then that doctor was on medical leave. So I started searching different doctors, and I wanted a hernia specialist who knew what it was like to have a prior hernia surgery and a gastric bypass. It took me a while. It took me over a year to like really pinpoint one down. And then I was down to two different ones. And I felt really good about the one who I went with. And when I went to go see him, I said, he was talking about how we can remove the old mesh. We got to put in a new mesh. It's going to be bigger. I said, what about this excess skin? Like I get rashes. I had asked for rash medication for my primary. So they had documentation about it. And as soon as I said, what about this skin? Can we do something about it? It was like what he needed to hear. He said, well, if we work with a plastic reconstructive surgeon at the same time, he can open you up, he could cut you open, and then it'd be a lot easier for us to see all this. And then we could, you could remove some excess skin. So I went to his I said, okay, I know you probably can't tell me, but tell me somebody who I can go see. So I went over there. It took 3 months to go see him, 3 months to see the hernia specialist, 3 months to see this guy. And then I went from Cedar Sinai to UCLA, compared the two, and went with the Cedar Sinai group, all covered by my insurance. And so whenever I saw the plastic surgeon who I went with, plastic reconstructive surgeon. He's not a cosmetic, and he's not a regular plastic. He's reconstructive. He said, "Yeah, we'll do like a fleur de lis. We'll do a vertical incision, like right where you already have a scar,
Uh,
and well, so that we can get in there and see the old mesh and see what we're dealing with. And then the hernia specialist said, if we see anything wrong with your gastric bypass, we'll fix it while we're in there too, because we can see it all. And mons plasty. So the upside down triangle area about below the waist, I'm trying to think, that's also considered fupa too. But you
Oh,
can,
wow.
you can get a roll right there, like the excess fat starts to hang. Like I'm trying to think what's the best way to say that. I don't know how to say it, but the pelvic area, um,
Yes.
they pull it up and they can cut the skin off of there, and they pull it up to the whole incision. I said, can you make sure you do a monsplasty? And he's like, yeah, we'll do that. And even before surgery, we're in the prep room, and I said, you're going to do the monsplasty, right?
You had to make sure. Jeez, Louise. Well, while they're doing it, I mean, you may as well get it all while you can.
Yeah. Well, and we thought when they submitted it to insurance, everything kept coming back like due to excess weight loss, it's medically necessary. And I was like, wow, I'm surprised. I have a PPO. I have the teacher's insurance. I don't know if I could say what kind I have. Is it okay to say what
Yeah,
I, I have Aetna Blue Cross, and it's a PPO. So he submitted like, oh, okay, we'll probably need to do a rectus something where they bring in the muscles, so you can bring your muscles closer together, and they like do that. But then before surgery and even in prep, he's like, and I didn't. I had gone to another this convention where I met up with the support group that I had joined a year prior, and they had a couple of plastic surgeons, and you got to do some like uh, free consultations. And that doctor told me, I told her what I was going to have done, and she said, do planks, don't do crunches, do planks, and that's going to prepare you best for this surgery. So I started doing planks, and I don't know, the doctor, he started filling the gap, and he's like, I don't think you're going to need the muscle repair. And so right before surgery, he's like, no, we're not going to do the muscle repair. You don't need it. Because I guess they have to cut your muscles from the sides and then put them together. And
oh,
then
wow.
that's why you have to, when after surgery, you have to lean forward and you're hunched over. And so I didn't need that. And yeah, so he put a 10 by 10 mesh, cut off the whole apron, which was the panniculectomy. I have incision from hip to hip, and everything's pulled up and nice and flat. And it's so flat that I have a V. I have got the V in, from the hip, like this
Yeah.
deep. Oh my gosh! Like the
So
only
do
thing
you
I
wear a bikini? Can you wear a bikini?
Yeah, and you know what's so funny? My like undergarments, I used to always buy high waisted briefs or high thigh briefs, and because I used it to like hold in the stomach, I didn't want my
Sure,
stomach.
yeah.
Now, when I put those under on, even though they're mediums, they go like clear up half of my stomach. So
Because you're
now,
so flat.
now I had to buy bikini underwear now, and even those go almost up to my belly button. Like it's crazy.
Now,
Um,
how long was the recovering from that?
oh yeah. So and surgery was longer than I thought too. So I was in surgery for 7 hours. I've always been from any of these surgeries that I've had. I've always learned that getting up and walking has been the key to doing better. And I know, blood clots and all that kind of stuff, you want to prevent them. But the night of surgery, I told the nurses, you got to get me up, got to get me up. I want up, I got to walk. And then the next day, I walked even more. And I was feeling so good. But I found out they had given me three nerve blocks during surgery. That was like the key to like not feeling the pain.
Oh, wow.
Because when we drove home, I stayed in the hospital for 3 days. Because of all the extra repair that they were doing from the hernia, I was able to have an inpatient versus an outpatient. And I was technically only going to be there for 2 days, but my husband had to work the last day. So I was like, I need to stay one more day. And so they approved it. And I was getting up and walking to the bathroom all by myself. And I was like, I don't want to wait for you guys. Like, I don't want to be pushing a button. I was independent. I knew how I needed to roll out of the bed because I had done it before. Hold on to the side. Don't use your abs. And did all that. Recovery, I would say. So I thought I was only going to be off for 3 weeks. It was the end of summer. it became 6 weeks. And so, yeah, 6 weeks. So actually, yeah, because my surgery got postponed a whole week. And when I went back to work, it was 6 weeks post-op. And I was still wearing the abdominal binder.
Okay.
Actually, for like I wore that abdominal binder for 3.5 months, maybe 4.
So what happens to the mesh? Is it
It's like in there and it adheres to everything's like sewn in there. And it's
okay?
like where so you have like he explained it to me like we stitch up your inner lining, then everything's like put in, and then we put the mesh, and then you have your outer skin and all that stuff. So it's like I can't remember if it's under the muscle or over the muscle. I forgot about that part. But they have such detail. I can go into my surgery
Sure.
report. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, it's just gonna stay in there, like just like the old one. It's just gonna stay there. And he tells me, so I was supposed to avoid abdominal exercises for a long time. And when I saw him for my 4-month post-op, I told him how, I tried doing a plank and it just doesn't feel right. I feel like it's pulling. I don't feel right doing crunches
Yeah.
yet. And because it just feels like, ooh, like it's pulling away. And he told me, like, no matter, you're not going to mess up your mesh this time. Like there's too big. It's not going to mess up. And I was like, okay, I don't know. I'm not going to chance it though. And but he said, remember, you haven't been working out your abs. You can't just go into the gym and lift weights. Like you have to work up. You got to go small.
Imagine. Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
And and eventually, after when I came back from that appointment, it was Thanksgiving. I decided to go finally take off the binder, and it only took me like 2 days to get because it's like a security blanket. You feel like everything's protected and nothing's gonna like hurt.
Or
Um,
pop out or come out. Yeah.
yeah, like stitches all
Wow.
over. But it took me a couple days getting back to work without the abdominal binder. And after that, I was like, I don't want this anymore. I don't want to wear it anymore. It's cumbersome. And but so it was a good 4 months to feel back to normal. My incisions were healed after the 6 weeks. Like after the 6 weeks, everything was. I mean, it was healed within 2 weeks. Like you couldn't see everything was sealed, like sealed, grown together.
Sure.
Um,
Yeah.
but I think it was 4 weeks where I started putting silicone scar tape on it to help minimize the scarring and lighten it up and everything. So I wore that. I haven't been doing it so much anymore. He said I really don't need it.
So
And
somebody see if somebody so like your husband, he knows, so he wouldn't be a good example to use. But it's like if I didn't know and I saw you, would I see like that you've had something nipped and tucked
yeah,
and pulled and all that?
you would still see a line. Like you still see a really thin line, and it's really light, a real light
Oh,
color.
good.
Yeah.
Well,
Um,
let me shout out your husband. Let me take a moment because how long have you been married?
We've been married for 33 years.
So
Oh,
he's been through all this journey with you. He's been through the ups, the downs, the weight gain, the weight loss, the surgeries. What does he say about it all? And I'm sure he's proud of you.
thank you. It's so funny because when we met, I remember he said, "You're a cheap date." I was drinking Diet 7 Up and I wouldn't even eat a burger. um, you know, the nice thing is that through it all, he never made any comments about, "Wow, yeah, I'm worried about your health," or "You should lose some weight," or never made any comments like that. Um, and it's funny because
Wow.
he knew I liked Hershey Kisses, and he came home. Here's some Hershey Kisses. Whatever made me happy. But he would say like, I just want you to be healthy. But he never like. It's funny because my mom was like, "Isn't Jack going to say something about your weight?" Like my mom was the one that was always on me about my health and my weight. And I know he worried about it, but I think he just knew that it'd be better if I decided because he's seen me do the ups and downs throughout life. And but he'll make little comments here and there. And like last weekend we were out on the beach, and there's this huge hill. This is a new beach that we had not gone to, that had really thick sand. And I was doing a YouTube live being on the beach, and I was finishing up and walking kind of slow because I was kind of hanging back. And he knew, he's like, "I know you were on your YouTube, and you were doing your video, but as soon as you got off, he's like, you caught up with us." And he said this like a bunch of times, like, you caught up with us. Like you got up that hill in the sand and you're not even out of breath. Like you caught up like, and I was just kind
Another non-scale victory.
yeah.
So let's take this back. Okay, so when you go to Disney, remember how you said you used to struggle to walk? How are you doing at Disney
Oh
now?
my gosh, I'm running around there like crazy. Like I'm just like walking around like nothing, not out of breath.
I
And
love that.
feeding in the turnstiles because I used to look at the turnstile and go, oh, how am I going to shimmy my way through that turnstile and walk sideways? That was always like the biggest thing, you know. Now, if you rented a scooter, you got to go to the back of the line. You didn't have to go through a turnstile. But yeah, like my hips and thighs and my behind would have a hard time getting through that turnstile and the big belly too. So I was going, you know, no problems at all. In fact, there at some point I thought I have to like match up. Well, okay. So whenever I'd go on rides with my littlest grandson at 300 and he's little, think about like Thunder Mountain and you pull down or you a roller coaster, you pull down the bar, that would leave him like loose and not being protected because I couldn't get the bar down all the way. So now I can get the bar down all the way. He's nice and protected. And it's just the best thing ever. Like that, us being able to go to amusement parks and fit through the turnstiles and fit on roller coasters and not have and fly without asking for an extension belt and having like 24 inches of the seatbelt left. That is just amazing. I so much walking upstairs. They're my favorite ride in the California adventure side, which in Florida would be the Hollywood Studios, is Radiator Springs. And when you get off of the Radiator Springs, you had to go up 3 flights of stairs. And I would be huffing it on the way, like holding myself before. And now I'm just like, doo, 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 doo.
Easy breezy, lemon squeezy.
And even the arthritis, like I don't have the arthritis pain anymore. Like the only time that I notice anything with the bad knee is whenever I ride a bike. Every time I ride a bike, it clicks and it kind of hurts. So that's the only thing that I haven't been able to do because of that knee. But probably if I found the right size bike, I could figure out a way to do it. But and yeah, because he's like, hey, you want to try? Let's try this bike. Let's try that bike. And so what we'll do is we go to the beach often because our daughter moved closer to the beach and for work, and so we get to go over there and stay with her. And we'll go to the beach, and he will take the mountain bike and go in the mountains, which I'm too scared to do anyway. And I go walking along the cliffs. I put on my 12.5 pound weighted vest now, and I go walking, and it's just fun. Like I'll do 3 miles, and it's just so exciting to be able to do that. You know, it's like I walk now because I can walk the
Yeah,
stairs. I can, yeah.
I love that. So let me ask you, because all those non-scale victories, geez, Louise, they're awesome. So let me ask you, because you said your lowest weight had gotten down to 147, and then so 148. But the 147, you said that you were like that for one day, because you weigh yourself. Do you weigh yourself every day?
If I'm here at home with my scale, I like to weigh every day.
Okay.
And because I like data and I like to see, and although I had to get over that part where, you know, you get a little like discouraged because you're like, oh
Mhm.
man, the scale went up. But for me, it was always like this 3 pound variance all the time. Every week it was like 3 pounds up or down. If it was right before injection day, the weight was up. If it was 2 days after injection day, that's whenever, like 2 days after my injection, that's whenever I'd have the flood of like the releasing of all the fluid. And I would weigh the least. Um, so I'm actually glad now that I stuck it out and I weighed every day because I saw that pattern repeat itself and I could see how it wiggled all the way down so that whenever I do go up 2 or 3 pounds, I don't freak, like it doesn't scare me so much now because I'm like, okay, well, give me a day or two and I'll be back down. The lowest actually that I ever got was when I was going into maintenance last December 2024. I was still on 10. No, I was on 10 milligrams. I lost going into maintenance. I lost 10 pounds a month, and I wasn't even trying to. And I was like, oh my gosh! And then the next month I lost another 10 pounds. Like I had gotten down to 143 and I looked very gaunt. Yeah, 143. I looked really, really thin, you know, even more than what I look right now because I know I can see my chest bones and, all the clavicles and all that kind of stuff. But I went into the doctor and said, I need to titrate down to
Now, did
7.5.
you notice that yourself, or did some family and friends say
It
that
was
to you?
family and friends. Yeah, it
Okay.
was family and
But you
friends.
didn't notice it at first? You
I,
didn't think,
I did too. Yeah, I did too. But it didn't bother me. It was
okay.
those comments I think that bothered me. And I was like, because I felt like my weight will just stop. I'll stop losing weight when my body's ready to stop. But towards the end, I just kept going and going like faster than before. I was like, wow, am I not going to stop losing weight? And although 143 was finally in the healthy category on the BMI, and if I'm 145 and higher, I'm considered overweight. But I just figured, I know, right? At 5'4", 145, I'm still considered overweight. So I have to be 144 to be considered healthy or regular. Yeah, healthy.
That's so crazy.
Yeah. And so I'm just like, and my daughter's like, Mom, we got to stop looking at the BMI chart. And I said, but because everybody was like telling me, you're too thin. And I think because, you go from this person and it's, I always say it's like a overstretched balloon. It's going to look wrinkled and shriveled when you drop 165 pounds. Yeah, of course it's going to mean too. And I said, if I could target because my legs were the last to kind of go down and I would always be frustrated with my legs. I did find out through the process that I have lymphedema and lipedema. So I deal with that swelling and insufficient vein insufficiency. So I'm also working on doing things to treat that, like vibration plate. Sometimes I wear stockings, which I hate. So I don't wear them like I'm supposed to, the compression stockings. But the vibration plate helps a lot. Massaging with castor oil, that helps a lot. And
Now wait, so when did you find out you had that condition?
it's funny. I actually knew that I had the vein problem like over 10 years ago. And I had one vein, like they don't remove it, they use radio frequency to kill it. And it was because I had those big varicose veins, those lumpy ones. So
Okay.
and I had a big lumpy one, had one removed, and then I went back to the doctor because I was when I went. Okay, so I didn't know I still had the problem. Really, I knew I had varicose veins, and I was like, my mom always had those and stuff. It was when I went back and I'm like, okay, I'm going to titrate down. So I went from 10 to 7.5. And then after 2 months, I was still losing weight. And I said, I need to go down to 5. So I went down to 5. And that's whenever the swelling started happening, the cravings
Um,
started coming back, the food cravings, but I stuck it out. I stayed at 5 in 2025 from January all the way to October. I think we switched over. My PA left the office, but she came back and she agreed to let me go back to 7.5. So we're going to try 7.5. Right before my skin removal, I had another vein deadened, I guess, like a vein ablation. That's what they call it, vein ablation. And that doctor said, you have lymphedema more than you have lymphedema. And she said, and the reason I know is right at your ankles, your feet don't swell and you have a cuff, like it goes in at the ankles. And I have kinkles too. And so I had a study done at Cedar Sinai of how slow or how long it takes for fluid to go through your veins, and it was really slow. So even the reconstructive doctor said you have lipedema. So the treatment is those things like vibration, massage, losing weight, like what I've already done. But it's the fat nodules that hurt. It's the painful fat. So
mhm.
I think so far what I'm finding out is there's what is it called? Lipo, that they can lipo areas of your legs to help out. But so far, the insurance doesn't cover that. So I'm still kind of researching that area. And in the meantime, the vibration plate is doing wonders.
Okay,
Um,
good.
yeah. And then my daughter bought me, I asked her for my Christmas present. Costco had the leg compression legs. They look like a boot And it's just like when you're at the hospital and you have compression boots, and you it pumps them. And so she bought that for me and my grandson because of some leg issues that he's had from the chemo. But um, that's those help. But I have to say, I think
I wonder if and I don't know, you may know this, but I feel like some people, several people that I have spoken to who've had the gastric bypass surgery develop one of these conditions with the lymphedema or what's the difference?
lymphedema is your veins and how slow or fast they drain.
Okay.
Well, vein insufficiency, which is also genetic and caused by chronic obesity. And
Okay.
then lipedema, I don't know if they consider, so there's stages of lipedema. Whenever one part of your body is abnormally bigger than the other, even if you've exercised and lost weight. So like if you have thicker legs, like I've always been bigger on the bottom, that's a sign of lipedema. And then and your feet don't swell. Sorry, couldn't catch me on. Your feet don't swell, but it swells all the way to your ankle. Yeah, and it can even happen in your arms too. You can have lymphedema in your arms. And if you feel the skin, you can feel almost like little nodules, almost like rice, or thick rice or beans. Yeah. And
Really?
if you were to run your hand across your legs or the tender spot and it hurts and it feels tender, that's a sign of the painful fat nodules, which is lipedema. And I feel like lipedema isn't getting it's like nobody really talks about it too much until recently, and you have different stages. There's pictures that you can look up and it shows you what it looks like, what stages. I think I'm a stage 3. And
I'm gonna look that up. So you said it's lipedema. I've heard
yeah,
of the
yeah,
lipedema.
lipedema. So I'm
Okay.
still in this period. My husband says, "Can you find a doctor that's closer to home?" Because he doesn't like that Los Angeles traffic.
So
Because
Los
you can find
Angeles.
everything. Yeah,
So
we
okay,
get
so
better
that's
doctors.
a disorder and it affects how it's distributed in the body, most commonly only in women. And so it's all those places we don't the hips, the thighs, the buttocks, the bootay. I say bootay. The
We say
lower
bouquet.
legs, but not the feet. So you did it, you know your stuff. Sometimes in the arms. Very good. Okay, wow. So there's some signs, like you said, symmetrical fat on both your arms and your legs, pain or the tenderness when you touch it, easily bruised, or do you bruise
Yes,
easily?
hyper easy. Yeah.
Aching, feeling tired, swelling that gets worse during the day. Your feet usually look normal. Okay, very good. Geez, Louise. And how
Mhm.
is it caused? How is it different from obesity or lymphedema?
Uh-huh.
So it's general weight gain over all over your body. And then lipedema, which you have, is the abnormal fat storage, but lymphedema is the fluid buildup
Yeah.
in your lymphatic system. And it also includes the swollen feet. Wow.
Yeah. Yeah. I know, and you see some people who have like they'll have a big pocket of something, and so they have like a really severe lymphedema. But yeah, and so my area, and I always know whenever I'm retaining water, it's the inner knee. So the inner knee has like I feel like I've got like this chunk right in the inside where the knee bends. And if I feel it and I can feel that it's getting hard, I know, oh man, I'm like retaining water. And that's whenever I got to get on the vibration plate. I have one like the Life Pro 360 vibration plate.
Yeah, I have one. Yeah.
Yes, it itches, like you feel it itchy when you're using it, but it releases water, and if you're constipated, it helps that too.
So you haven't had the liposuction because you said your insurance doesn't cover that. It's because it's not cosmetic. It can reduce the pain and fat buildup. But you're doing everything. The compression garments is a kind of a care for it. Um, it says a manual lymphatic drainage, but do you
Yes.
have
So that's a
that?
massage. So you could like if
Massage.
I do, yeah, I need to find so we're lacking in lymphatic massage therapists in our area. The one that I was on a 4-month wait list for quit her job. So I've just been doing self massage and I just take the oil. I think it's like I do a castor oil and I get one that's got arnica in it, I think too, or some other combination. But castor oil is amazing. And you like just really like push down on your legs and kind of like you're pushing down the fluid. And if I do
Oh,
that, yeah, and then I go down to my calves and I just like really just try to compress it. And that seems to do the trick too. Yeah, I do that. And so that's a self massage. I think if I were to go pay for it, it's like $150 for a lymphatic massage. So that's what I'm on the hunt. I haven't spent so much time trying to find another person, but I am on the hunt to see what can I get covered by insurance and who's out there.
who's out there? Well, one of the things is it says anti-inflammatory nutrition. So eating some of the right things, which you're probably doing, because you're eating healthy.
Oh yeah,
Now, it does say strength training though, and I know, you know, I can see why they would make sense, right? Because if you're strength training, you're gaining muscle and hopefully you're losing fat. But
right.
when I just looked it up, it says when you strength train, your muscles contract and relax, which is helpful. This squeezes your lymphatic vessels. It helps them move the fluid out of the swollen or heavy areas. So strength training is something that can help. And it says when you strength train, you can reduce the heaviness you're feeling, the aching, the pressure, and the end of the day swelling. It says many people with lipedema notice their legs feel lighter on the days they lift weights. So
Yes.
do you notice that?
Yeah. Okay. This week I've been
Okay.
doing so good with my lunges, squats, and walking, and vibration plate. I've been doing that after the workout. And I felt like yesterday I was walking around campus. We had a fog delay. I got to work out in the morning. I I felt so strong. I can feel now my quads like feel so buff and like even though they're not looking buff, they're like they feel it, and I can feel the muscle now. Like I can feel that it's actually there and strong, and I can stand on one leg and balance. I was whipping around the campus, like I worked sometimes at night at a college campus, and I was walking around there like nobody's business, no out of like no pain at all, nothing to be out of breath, and I just felt so good. I was like, oh my gosh, like I'm walking with no effort. Like it is so easy right now to walk. It wasn't like I didn't even have to use, but I felt like my muscles were like really pushing me. So I was just like, okay, this stuff is working. Like the all the strength training is really making a difference, and my legs can swell. And I think because I did that this week, that's why all of a sudden I got down to 147 today. I was like, what the heck? 147? I haven't been there since that temporary 143, when I was coming off going into maintenance. But yeah, I mean, 148 has been my lowest since post surgery. And even after surgery, the swelling, I had 1 week where, man, my legs swelled. I was so scared. But I did all the things, and I found out I ate some salty food, and my PA said it's because you've gone down in your salt that your body's not used to it, and so anytime you eat
Mhm.
something that's really salty, you're gonna blow up, like you're gonna swell. So but post surgery you swell a lot anyway. So that was the highest I had gotten to 158 after surgery, 2 weeks after surgery, and that was the highest I'd been since losing weight. But it didn't last long. Yeah,
Yeah. Well,
yeah.
I think that's important though, because I think if I hear a condition like that, I would think like, oh, okay, that's the last thing I want to do is exercise. But really, exercise, especially strength training, is going to help it. And I also just want to share this. It said it reduces pain sensitivity over time, which improves your circulation, strengthening the surrounding muscles, managing your body. And it says your body can become more resilient to the pressure that is felt. And this is what I immediately thought of, like it's building muscle underneath that fat. And it says it helps increase your muscle tone, improve your leg strength, improve your mobility, make daily life easier, like you just talked about, the stairs, walking, standing, all those things. And they say many women, after they do like a routine, like a consistent 6 to 8 weeks or however long, and continue on. They say a lot of women often say, my legs look the same, but they feel stronger and they function a lot better. So if you could get past the looks of it all and focus on how you feel, which we kind of say with these GLP-1s, right? That's
Mhm.
a win. So I love that. It also says, we know it's going to improve that body composition, lowering your overall fat, increasing that muscle, reducing the inflammation. So anybody who has your condition, I think these are all great tips and things that they can do. And really they say you only need to do it 2 to 3 days a week. So I know you love to walk. So if you still do your walking and just add that 2 to 3 days of doing that strength training, that's going to really help you. And, I saw you doing squats. So squats, the leg presses, glute bridges, which are my favorite. I don't like the bridges, but I do like working on the glutes, but I can't do the
Yeah.
bridges. I used to do those in Pilates and they would drive me insane.
Oh,
Step ups. I like the step ups. I like that. And then lift light and do the light deadlifts. So they say if you do light deadlifts, that's a full body, doing all those things, combining those here and there is a full body workout. Low impact, but controlled movements are key. So I think that's so cool. Geez, Louise. Well,
yeah.
we've learned something together and you taught me about this lipedema. I didn't know much about that. So goodness gracious, it's always something, isn't it?
Yeah. And a lot of people, when I mention it, and I have a playlist on it now too, I've gotten a lot of comments that other people have it too. And maybe because, when you are chronically obese, it could trigger it. Or maybe that's one reason. I don't know. Could that be a reason why we ended up being close to 300 pounds? I don't know. I wonder. But yeah, a lot of people are definitely going through it. Yeah. Having
I'm
some.
gonna look into the connection between that and having the surgery because it's just
I
and it could
know.
be a coincidence, but yeah,
Right.
it's a lot of people I know who've had the surgery have issues
Mhm.
down the road with that,
Yeah,
with
oh,
what
no,
else too.
yeah. Yeah,
Yeah. So,
okay.
all right, but
Hmm.
I'm not saying that's a causation. I'm just saying it's a coincidence. And we're not doctors, hashtag not a doctor. But yeah, I think that's kind of important to look at. So let's switch the tone. Let's play a quick game and then we'll
Oh,
talk about
geez.
your YouTube channel.
All
All right.
right.
So I'm going to say a word and I want you to tell me the first word that comes to your mind when
Okay.
you hear the word. And you can explain it, but you don't have to. Just we're going to be quick and fast, like a speed round.
Okay.
So the first word is, are you ready? It's GLP-1s.
Mounjaro.
Ooh, compounds.
Tirzepatide. I'm just thinking of names. Okay. Oops. Okay.
YouTube.
Oh, downsizing diva.
Yay!
Support
Strength,
group.
yes, strength training.
Oh, get those muscles tone balance. That's what I think of. Balance.
Balance. Okay, very good. Surgery.
Skin removal. Best thing ever.
I love it. Menopause.
Woo! Thank goodness I didn't get a lot of hot flashes.
We didn't even talk about
I know.
menopause yet.
I know.
Aging. How do you feel about aging?
Oh, I'm not gonna let my gray hair grow out. I'm gonna keep on dyeing my hair so I can look how I should.
How
I
you
think
should.
we get gray hair way too soon. I feel like 50 is too early to have gray hair.
Yeah,
Yeah.
some people look so good with it, though. I always wish I
I
could be
know.
one of those
I'm
people
not
who
one of those.
embrace it. But
Yeah.
yeah, so you're not gonna go with the gray hair. So how do you feel about aging? Do you think are you proud to tell your age? Do you dread
Oh,
it?
okay. Yeah, I tell my students my age. I'm like, hey, I'm 56, and they actually seem shocked, and then they think 50s is old, and I'm like, I know, I felt like I was old too when I was your age.
I
Um,
did too.
yeah, and then
But
it's like,
now we know better.
yes, we're now like, it's like I'm 46 now.
Yeah, we gotta age like fine
We're
wine.
gonna reverse aging. Yeah, they,
Reverse aging.
I would say I want to age gracefully, If I
Yes.
need a little, I don't want to do drastic, but if I have these platysmal bands that drive me nuts, and I think that you see the things that you see. And I
So
feel
what
like,
would they do with those? Because
okay,
it's so funny. So you want to like, I want to get those, not those, but you know what I'm
cool.
saying? I want to get like this. What do you call that? That
Yeah,
clavicle bone,
that's your collarbone or clavicle. Yeah,
collarbone.
yeah.
Somebody calls it the clavicle. Is it a
It might be
collarbone?
it might be a clavicle.
So I want to have that come in more, but I don't want it to be, I don't want
Yeah,
it
because
to be.
like if I wanted to, like, ooh, it can be too
But so
much.
now,
But
so that's interesting. So you want to get yours filled in. What do they do for that?
okay, so this is a muscle, and apparently you could do Botox to relax. Because if you go like this, remember my mom used to teach us like to tighten up your neck, go like these exercises. But anyway, she said, so yeah, they're very strong and pronounced. And there's like a actual surgery. They do a little incision right here and like they could pull it up and then I guess back just to do a refresh. So there is surgery that you could
Is
do.
that what you told me you wanted to get? Because
Yeah,
I remember I was on your live stream.
I do. I
And you
do.
were saying you wanted to get is that the surgery you were telling me about?
Yeah. So I do want to get my eyelids, and I think I'll tell everybody my screen is on retouch because I don't know how to turn it off. So I don't look I look really good right now, but that's not me. I do have some more. I do get like right here. So when I saw a few plastic surgeons, and they said the whole Ozempic face is real. Once I got below 160, I lost the fat pads in my cheek. So if you can actually put a finger and like you don't feel the fat pad anymore. I
Uh,
can put it down, yeah. So they told me don't waste your money on fillers. It's not going to last long. I was doing Botox, but it was disappearing within 4 months. I was already back to normal after 4 months, and it was getting to where I needed 50 units to do this, the 11s, and around here, I was doing 50 units. It was like $600 or $500. I'm like, that's just too much to not last. So I do want to get my eyes because I have like the saggy skin. I've always had that when I was overweight too. It's genetic. And then, but it would be nice to get a refresh. And I think it's the one area that has so much stigma is like the word facelift. I don't really want a facelift. I want a refresh. I don't want to look 20 or 30. I just want to pull it back a little bit. Like there's a lady, Charlene. She's a weight trainer. She just did a really cool face refresh, and she shows every day her post op. So that's been interesting to me too. Yeah.
okay, so let me ask you. So do you think so look at me. Do you think I have on a filter?
No.
I don't.
Yeah.
I don't. I don't. But
You look
okay,
good
so
though. Oh, do you look like it? I feel like your face. You always have such good skin,
so
and
this is so you can put a filter on here. You can take it off too. So this is the filter.
how do you
Okay. So that's me without the filter. And people always say, I say my skin, I don't have bad skin, but I have like little spots. And you can see it now. You see that little thing? Because I never really look on
Oh,
the side of
yeah,
my
yeah,
face. So, but
yeah.
then this is how the filter is. So the filter just kind of, it reminds me of putting on makeup. So this is the filter. Not that much different, right? So it means
Whoa.
you think you look so much different, you probably don't with the
Well,
filter
plus
off.
you got these lights. I think these like warm lights help your skin like better too. But I do, just like um,
And you can
tea.
still see that. Look. See, I just never, yeah,
Oh, just
I don't really
warning.
turn to the side. I'm just usually straight forward. But this is what I'm trying to get rid of, this little spot right here. And
You know,
it might just be on there forever. I don't really care. I
I
mean, it's
was
okay.
always told that I had good skin, and I think what I was told from one of my grandmas is when I had acne as a teenager and oily skin, and then I had T zone. And apparently, when you have oily skin, that's supposed to help your skin to not wrinkle as much. But my family doesn't is not good with collagen, so we crack we start getting shrinkled after a while. But when I went to go get facials, they would always tell me I had good skin. Like they complimented my skin, so I was like, oh wow. And my mom had good skin too. But me and my mom both suffered from acne as teenagers. But
Yeah.
we occasionally get
I,
like the one spot, like hormonal acne. But no, haven't had any hormonal acne. Every once in a while, it's like I would get like a weird bump, which I didn't know if it was a GLP-1 thing or what. Like it
I
was,
know, I would get that every now when it was time for my cycle, but I wouldn't have a cycle.
yeah,
So
been 5 years post-menopause. So that's been amazing.
well, that's
Yay.
your next that we said menopause. That's my next question I want to ask you. But let's go back to the game with we have
Okay.
two more words.
Okay.
Family.
Family's everything. If you don't have your family, you're rich if you have your family.
Oh, I agree 100%. And maintenance.
Maintenance was a mystery, but it is amazing. It's a lot more amazing than I thought it would be. I was
Oh,
scared.
good.
Yeah, I was scared because I didn't have too many people to find, and I'm finding more people now, but it was a mystery. Like, what are we gonna do? And you know what? What I've learned to do is just kind of keep everything the same. Just keep doing what you've been doing, and just tweak it along the way. And maintenance isn't linear either, just like weight loss isn't linear. Like I went almost a whole year on 5 milligrams, and now I went back up to 7.5. And I'm introducing more bread. I'm starting to enjoy sourdough more than I would before. Oh, and I would say, even if I wanted a cookie, I would try to make sure it was a good quality one, not a Chips Ahoy. But if I went to a pastry or bakery, even during my weight loss, I allowed myself. I didn't deprive myself, and I just had control because I had this part. The GLP-1 was
Yeah.
control this part, yeah. So I didn't go binging, and so yeah, I'm like, it's just it's incredible. Maintenance is not so hard after all, but I mean it's still work. I just think don't change a whole lot. I think just tweak it a little bit, tweak your calories, tweak your fiber, tweak here and there, whatever you need to do. But I always think I'm gonna be like the Nutty Professor. I'm gonna wake up and I'm gonna be like back to where I was. That.
No, no, no. You got it under control. And it sounds like this is my word of the year, consistency. It sounds like even in maintenance, you have to be consistent. When you find what works, you stick with it. And I always say tweak too, whether you get to that bump in the road where that's not working, or the curve on the road where you got to, just curve with the road and you got to do something a little different. And
Yes.
I think that's what I found on my GLP-1 journey. And it sounds like the same thing for maintenance too.
Mhm.
So, and the work doesn't end. I feel like the journey is just kind of starting all over in a different way though when you're in maintenance.
Yep. It's a new life.
Wow. So, I want to know what's a word that you would describe yourself before you started your Mounjaro journey? Like, if you had to think of a word to describe your mindset, where you were in your life, what's one word that would capture that?
Oh goodness. Oh, I don't know if I was frustrated, but I did always, that was the one area I'm like going back to Oprah, like you can be successful in all things in life and then feel like a failure in this one area that just felt like you were out of control. Like that was the one area I just felt like I couldn't control. Um, so probably out of control would be before, and probably reborn, like a whole new life, and reborn into this new body that's I'm making up for lost time. And I'm like, man, I felt like in one way I wasted my 40s. So now I'm gonna make up for it.
Oh, wow. Wow. So you feel like you wasted your 40s.
Yeah, like
Oh, really?
I suffered in my 40s. Like I limited the things that I would do. Like I was limited.
That
Yeah.
makes me sad.
No, I know. I'm like, man, can I just go back to where? Yeah, that would be the only thing that I would regret. My regrets is that didn't know about this stuff earlier, or that it wasn't out
Yeah.
there for me. Yeah.
Yeah. That's so true. I guess that thought has crossed my mind. I don't know about regrets because I think where you are now, you wouldn't have been here if you were on a different path.
It's
Do you know
true.
what
I
I'm
mean,
saying?
I'm proud of myself for my career success, for pushing through. Now, uh, having gastric bypass whenever I did helped me get courage and confidence to do my master's degree, because one, I didn't have to worry about like would I fit into a desk, because I would show up to school early to fit into a desk.
And those desks aren't built for it. I even feel bad for the bigger kids. Like, we have tables now. We used to have desks, the traditional
Yeah,
desk
we
where
still
you
have
would
those
sit
in
in.
our
Do
classes.
you still have those?
Yes, I mean,
Please,
there's more,
oh,
but
please.
yeah, my
Have your
classroom.
union to get on that.
I
What is
know,
going
but
on?
now I sit in it and I'm like, woo, this is so roomy now.
Well, I guess the union wouldn't do that because it wouldn't be for you guys, it would be for the
Yeah,
kiddos, but
yeah.
yeah, those are so we have tables. We've had tables, I don't know, for 10,
I
20
love
years now.
Oh, I love showing up to classrooms with tables, but in colleges, universities, they still have
It's still,
the
yeah, I
oh,
was
the
gonna
ones
say,
that come down. I remember just like giving up and not even using that little part that comes down over you, trying to push it over your stomach. But I would always try to get to school early to find the bigger chair. Like, where can I sit?
yes,
Because there's
yeah.
you could find sometimes a bigger chair. Yeah.
Or, just wait till everybody else gets up and leaves because I think getting in was easier than getting out of it.
I stood up one time. I went to one of those like back to school days and we had to show up at a high school. I got there late and then I tried to go wiggle my way into a desk and it got stuck and I stood up and the desk was still stuck to me. And oh my God, that was like the worst thing ever. Like, I mean, I quickly like got out of it and like looked for a chair that was by itself, but man, it's stuff like that. Like you don't ever want to have to go through again. Yeah.
Yeah, those are the things that I think that, society doesn't really think about when they're, ostracizing you about your weight, like, that stuff cuts deep, and I
Mhm.
mean, I just keep thinking about the comment that that parent made about, she's a PE teacher, health teacher, and
Yeah.
she's overweight. I mean, just think about I'm sure that at the time stung,
Mhm.
um, but, it's just like this somebody's experiencing that as we speak, they're going through that, they're hearing those things, and that's why I always say, words hurt, so when people say, like and I get the "unbig my back," I wanna I'm gonna be known for saying that, and because I hear that on the playground now, and I get saying those kinda things to kinda take the power away from it, but really, I don't think it even should be out in the universe to begin with because, you just give kids a something to hold on to and something to say.
Yes.
So, yeah. Oh, man. Well, we have a lot to overcome, but that you're doing it. You are doing it. I think you are doing an awesome job,
Thank
and,
you.
I'm so proud of you and your journey. So tell us about your YouTube channel and what made you decide to start documenting your journey?
You know what? I wish I would have documented sooner because this was the one time that I had a start, and I don't want to say diet, but another a life because I went into it going, this is gonna be a lifestyle change. And I didn't do those before pictures. I didn't do beginning weight measurements because and I talked to other people and in groups in our YouTube conversations, it's like you were afraid this was going to be another failure. So why tell anybody that you were on it? Because what if it's another failure?
I
Um,
see.
and that I always felt, even when I started this journey, that I didn't want to say too much until I could prove that I was being successful. Yeah, didn't until could prove that I was being successful at it. You have a unique story, and I was like, I guess okay, having the different history that I have kind of made it unique. And every once in a while, I'm like, okay, so I'll share and I'll post videos, and I've been learning, and I'll learn some things, um, and then I feel like, oh man, is this even working? But so sometimes I even still doubt myself. I'm like, do I really have a story that's interesting enough for other people to want to tune into and watch? Um, and then every once in a while, you get that confirmation and you get that one person. So I always think about even like Gina in Anchor Moment. She's like, if there's just one person that I can make this change and I could share, and every once in a while, I get these comments back and they tell me, Pam, you motivate me, and I go, really? I do. Like tell me, like what did I do? And people at work, you motivate me, and I'm like, wow. Like it's it still
Boy,
surprises me. I'm just like, wow, and I'm glad that you are told that because sometimes you don't you worry like am I is it am I just standing up here on my podium and um I don't want to feel conceited or anything, and so I still kind of like do that up and down, like am I doing this, is it too much? And I still play around with it, and but but most of all I love when people tell me that this and a certain area that they want to learn about, and hey, why don't you share this because that's unique. And a lot of people are going through it, like lymphedema and lipedema and skin removal and hernias and surgery and all those things. So that that's where I thought, you know what? I go to YouTube. YouTube was my first place that I don't know why I didn't do it sooner, where I found people like Thomas Shopping, and then the Downsized, and then you, and I can't remember where I found when I got you, probably from Ange, I think, I don't know, at the very beginning. But finding everybody and then going to your lives, and we found even more community, and it just keeps growing and it's snowballing, and it's amazing.
I think you have to just be confident in yourself. Instead, just stop comparing yourself. You got to have that Pammy tunnel vision, right?
Mhm.
You know, like I can only see my two hands here. I can't see past that. And if you think like that, you got to think about your channel. You think like that, you're going to grow. But when you think about what everybody else is doing and keeping up with the Joneses, you're not going to grow like that, because you're going to be so worried about what they're doing, how they're doing it. You're not going to really focus on what you can do. So you have a great story to tell, and your people will find you. People will get that connection with you. And that's what you just got to keep putting the videos out. If if you're in my live streams or anybody's live stream, she's there, she's supportive, she's on Instagram. So we want you to go and subscribe. We want to get her to that 1,000 subscribers. She has a great story, and you just have to work on telling your story, getting your story out there. Tell us your channel name again.
Mounjaro Journey with Pam.
Mounjaro Journey with Pam. So, well, what would you like to see for your channel? Like if you, and then this next year, because we're new year, what would you like to see?
Well, you know what's funny? So my word of the year is adventure, and I do want to. I want more exposure to maintenance, because I think about the things that weren't there for me, and we do have a lot of people who can help people in the beginning, and we have to bring back some of that stuff. Like, hey, if you're in the beginning of your journey, what's the tips that we can show you, because we've been through it, right? We have the experience,
Yeah.
and maybe that'll help you. But maintenance, I always said maintenance is a mystery, and so now that I've gone a whole year, now I'm almost 13 months into maintenance. Now I have a whole new viewpoint on what maintenance looks like. So that, and then what is life like after dropping half of your weight? I lost a whole Backstreet Boy. So
Yes. So, Penny, we finally were able to connect. I have enjoyed talking to you. I seriously mean this. I'm very proud of you. I mean, just you have done such a great job. You've been through so much too. Like this has just been a journey for you. And I feel like this GLP-1 medication was like made for somebody like you. I mean, it really was. And you've been successful on it. And I really, want you to tell your story just like you told it to me. You just told a beautiful story, and it just made me really appreciate you even more. And I'm so proud of you. And it just made me think your husband is so awesome, because he is also your husband and your kids and your family. And gosh, I'm so proud. I just can't even believe 165 pounds, 53% of your body weight. You could have won the Biggest Loser. You are awesome. So I want you guys to go over and subscribe to her channel. Let's show her some support. So thank you for coming. This has been fun.
Thank you, Dee Dee.
Thank you. See you in the next video.
Right.
Bye.